Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have a very special individual with us today. You may have seen him in a previous podcast, dropping the knowledge. Alhamdulillah. Myself and Tisnan have invited back again SHEIKH SALEEM SEEDAT from Blackburn, a very highly regarded individual in the community, within our youngsters. And today he's here to talk about a topic that's dear to his heart. Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you all?
Alhamdulillah, good, thank you. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Keeping well?
Yeah, as you know, it's been a bit of a difficult time. Past few months have been difficult for me, especially with my mother passing away. So it's not been a particularly easy time. So that's where we are at the moment.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear about your mother. May Allah grant her Jannah and forgive her sins. Ameen. Sheikh, me and Tisnan earlier, when we stood outside, Tisnan said something amazing, and it's so true. Young ulama and ulama that start off young and then grow up to be ulama and sheikhs and alims and muftis and stuff. He said, I'll let you say it.
What I've noticed is when people like yourself, other people that we know in the community that have educated themselves to be alim, mufti, sheikhs, so on and so forth, the hand they have, the hand in their life, that's the biggest guidance, is a mother.
Definitely.
So how would you describe your mother and how did she have an impact in your life?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of like the whole upbringing primarily falls on one's mother. That the upbringing, the primary person who takes care of you as a child, even more than the father, is the mother. The mother takes care of the child in ways that the father can't. And that was the case in my case as well, in terms of what my mother did for us. In particular for myself, it was just from even as young, in terms of obviously coming into this world is through your mother, and then after that, upbringing, preparing, feeding you, taking you to school, taking you to madrasa. If there's any issues at school, if there's any issues at madrasa, more than the father, you're more likely to discuss it with your mother.
Yeah, I know I did.
And then your mother, that natural care that she has for you, the concern she has for you, and how she then takes it up for you, and at every stage tries to protect you. That's you can't buy that stuff, and that's irreplaceable. Once you've lost that, you've lost that kind of care. That's
irreplaceable.
It's just unparalleled. You can't replace that care, and especially when it came to my mother. My mother was the eldest of 11.
MashaAllah.
And therefore, not only did she bring us up, she brought up her siblings as well.
Yeah.
And along with bringing up her siblings, my mother was born in Malawi.
MashaAllah, my mother was as well.
Your mother was born in Malawi as well, yeah. So my mother was born in Malawi, so my grandparents had a shop. So she used to look after the shop, she used to look after the siblings whilst she was in Malawi. When they moved over to Britain, because they all had British passports, because they came through Malawi, they didn't come through the subcontinent, they came through Malawi, so they had British passports. So then they came here to Britain. And then when they came here, again, looking after the siblings, and then when she got married to my father, then bringing us up. And then not just bringing us up, then when I had nieces, so when my sisters had daughters, looking after bringing my nieces up as well. So 3 generations of people.
SubhanAllah.
It's not just one generation, bringing up 3 generations of people.
It's like she was a mother for 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And with my mother, like something unique, you don't really get to see with people. I don't think I've ever seen this with anyone else. You won't find a single person, regardless of whether you met her for a minute or whether you've known her for a lifetime. you won't find a single person that has a bad word to say about her.
MashaAllah. Says a lot about the person's character as well then.
Of course. If you were to ask like 10 people about me, I'm sure you'll find like 2 people who've got something bad to say about me.
Probably not. Probably not. But yeah, I see your point.
You see, you'll always find someone who's got, rightly or wrongly, they've got something bad to say about you. But for my mom, Alhamdulillah, you won't find a single person. You can ask anyone that knows my mom, who's met my mom for a minute, or who's known my mother for a lifetime. Not a single person you'll find
and that in itself as well is reward in the akhirah as well. So even though your mother's not here now, still the good words that she's left behind that people are saying, that's reward as well.
It's said that the people are shuhada, the witnesses for the akhirah, the witnesses, so that it's like their testimony of this person.
Yeah. MashaAllah. Mothers are unparalleled. And there's a reason why in Islam, even just childbirth, we can't repay back.
Without a doubt.
No.
Without a doubt.
And now, if we put on top of just that, we've got raising the child and then all the issues that the mother comes across, fixing for the child, the feeding, the cleaning after, everything top to bottom, from the start to the end. You just can't fathom how you're gonna repay a person just for this.
Definitely.
I know you've got a million things that you love about that you used to love about your mum. One thing that sticks with you from as long as you can remember to when you were a kid to before she passed away, what's one of the most memorable things that you've experienced with your mum?
There's her selflessness. I think there's 2 things I'd like to talk about, but the main thing is her selflessness. Like, it's unparalleled. I've never seen like that level of selflessness. It's just rare in the world. And that's why people remember her, because it's just her sacrifice. Until the end, she was like. I remember sitting with her the night before she passed away. She had the hemorrhage. The night before she had the brain hemorrhage, and then she was in hospital for 10 days after the brain hemorrhage. So the last time I spoke to her was the night before she had the brain hemorrhage. And she was saying to me, I sat next to her on her bed, and she said to me, I'm worried about Dad. That's my last conversation with her. That's my last conversation with her. I'm worried about Dad.
Even on her deathbed, she's thinking about all this.
Right till the end. That was the last conversation I had with her, and then in the morning after Fajr, she had her brain hemorrhage, and after that she obviously didn't regain consciousness. But yeah, that was my last conversation with her.
How are you holding up within yourself?
It's probably the past 6 months probably been the most difficult time of my life.
It's like the woman that's been constant in your life. You're everything. You grew up with the woman. You know everything. She did everything for you, and then one day, gone.
They say that about mothers, right? A mother is the, and you were saying this before, innit? Go on, I'll let you say it.
So the mother is the oldest boy's first true love.
Definitely.
Everything else is come and go, unconditional love. There's no malice in the heart.
Unconditionally. Again, I know that from not personal, but family situations as well. No matter what the son does, the entire family can hate the son. But the mother will always be there, sending food or doing something.
True.
You know?
May Allah grant the Jannah. That's all we can ask for.
I was speaking to a colleague at work earlier this week, and she said to me, like, mothers are special, like they're the bedrock of society.
100%.
Without mothers, what's society?
It's true. 100% the men are the ones hunt, go and build and do this and do. Who teaches the youth? Women. Women, mothers are the ones that raise the next generation. It's true what you say, Tisnan, that the mother, behind every great scholar, every great slave of Allah, majority of the time, there's always a mother that's superb,
Yeah.
you know, in the eyes of Allah.
Definitely, there's no doubt about that. The first thing, so her selflessness was unrivaled, and you can speak to anyone that knew my mother and they'll say the same thing, like just sacrifice. Her whole life's just sacrifice from the start
Yeah.
till the end. You know, as I mentioned, even the last conversation, she's worried about my dad, even though she.
If you don't want me to ask, how's your dad dealing with everything?
My dad's struggling. Yeah,
Is he?
definitely. Yeah, and it's
he's-
understandable. When you
course.
spent nearly half a century together with someone, then
You're going to feel
just
it.
that.
You're going to feel it.
May Allah give him ease.
And he's obviously bedbound. So my mother was the healthier parent.
Okay.
Right.
So my dad's bedbound. So my mother at least had some mobility.
Yeah.
And then suddenly having a brain hemorrhage. So it was completely unexpected. And that's, I think, death is difficult to deal with as it is. Bereavement is difficult to deal with as it is. But when it happens all of a sudden, then there's
Unexpected,
that,
then it's, I see what you mean. It's like with, obviously, when you have and I'm sure we've all been through this as well, when you have a family member or someone close to you that's, you know, okay, they're ill, they're not well, maybe Allah's going to give them another couple of years or something, and then maybe they're going to go. But if it happens, you prepare for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
But when it just happens all of a sudden, it's just that I didn't even think about this.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? Like, I need to, you know.
And I've experienced that twice. Once, you know, my grandfather, my granddad, when obviously we knew that he had problems, he had cancer and stuff, and it slowly kept deteriorating. We realized, doctor said, you know, it is what it is now, that's it. You prepare for it mentally.
Yes.
That's why I don't think it affects a lot of people that much, because you prepared for it, like, you know, it's gonna go, same with my grandma, same thing happened, we were prepared for it. Alhamdulillah, we got that chance.
Yeah.
You know.
Same with my grandma as well. Like, she had Parkinson's, and then it just got progressed really bad. But prepared, like we all had that chance to prepare. But then obviously with another member of the family that passed away, it was all of a sudden. So you can see the differences between the
Huge
two.
difference. Also, I wanted to mention about my mother that along with her selflessness, it was like her self-respect. Like, she had a lot of self-respect. So if she was in some context, obviously as human beings, at some stage in your life, you're going to be disrespected by someone.
Of course.
She would just she would teach me, there were situations in my life where something happened where I was like disrespected in a particular context, and then I came home and either myself or my father or someone else informed my mother that this had happened with someone else. My mother just turned around and she just said, "This is, next time you go, I'm going to give you the money. If you want to buy sweets or anything, use this money. Don't ask that person again for sweets in the future." Just told you self-respect on the outside. No, you don't do that. And that was my mother. So on one hand, she had that selflessness, but she also had that self-respect. Someone disrespects you, it doesn't mean my mother would get into conflict with someone, or what she would do is she would distance herself. So she would say, "No, this is not acceptable. Maintain your dignity in this context." And that's another lesson.
And that's very
that stuck with me.
That's
From a young age, as a kid, when that incident happened, I remember my mother turned around and said, "No, it's not acceptable." I said, "Don't do this in the future. If you need that, I'll give you the money. You just get whatever you need from the shop." End of story.
Sheikh, if it was one piece of advice, so obviously women in Islam, right? If you, I know you can't speak on behalf of your mother, but you know your mother better than anyone. If your mom, if you could think of any advice that your mother would give to the women of today, the young daughters of today, the young wives of today, the young mothers of today, what do you think your mother would say to them, living in this day and age?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I have to try and get into the mind of my mother and think about what my mother would say. Yeah, that's a tough one.
We can revisit. We'll revisit.
Yeah, no, that's a tough one.
I feel like that's a beneficial answer for the young women.
But the one thing my mother is very proud of being a mother. Very proud of being a mother. Definitely. And I think we in society, because we live in a capitalist society, we have to put a price to things for them to be valued. And that's why, for example, like feminist economists, they speak about this. They go, why is it that the work that's done in the home, how come that's not accounted for in the calculation of the GDP?
Okay.
Why is that's one of the criticisms of feminist economists, that why is the work that's done domestically, how come that is not included within the market?
Still work.
Because it's bringing value to society. Yeah, it's not.
But is it a physical value? As in, is it an economic value?
So this is the issue. So how we value things in a capitalist society, how we value things, the effect of that, the consequence of that is we devalue motherhood as a result of that.
Yeah, true.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because if mothers, as I was mentioning earlier, a colleague mentioned that mothers are bedrock of society. If that is then devalued, then what does that do to society? That devalues motherhood. What's the consequence of that? What does it do to society? And I think we're seeing some of that, aren't we?
Yeah.
In the world that we live in, where we devalue motherhood, then we see the consequences of that in society.